Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time. Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time. Talk to me now. Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time. Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time. Bar Talks.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Bar Talks discussion. Today I'm inviting you into my conversation corner. I'm your host, Queenie, and I'm going to be talking with my girl, Chandra, and I also have another special guest host by the name of Bobby. He will be joining us a little later. So for right now, I want to go ahead and welcome my girl, Chandra Gore of Chandra Gore Consulting.
Thank you.
What's up? We are here again.
Yes, we are.
Doing our thing.
Of course.
Okay, so today, as usual, we're going to be talking about a discussion or a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It is surrounding the issue of, or shall I say, the stigma with HIV testing, communication within relationships, and promiscuity within relationships. That's kind of deep, isn't it?
Yes.
And of course, of all the people I would have with me, it would be Chandra.
Wow.
So, welcome again.
Thank
welcome
you.
again. So this conversation kind of came up because I had posted something on Facebook.
Who, child?
I had a huge moment of transparency. I had posted my status on Facebook. I had just went and received an annual physical, and I decided to become extremely transparent in the middle of my day and post my HIV status on Facebook. And a couple people, I guess, became a little uncomfortable because I was so open about it. And then others, they just inquired and wanted to talk a little bit more. So Chandra and I hit her up. I saw her, kind of hit the post, and I decided to hit her up in her DM. And I was like, did I overshare, Chandra?
Nope. Not at all. Because there's people around here that have been in relationships for an extended amount of time, and they have not been tested.
Right.
And they think just because they're monogamous, air quotes here.
Yeah.
That they don't have to get tested, but you don't know what your partner is doing unless you have that open communication.
Right.
So there are people who have been in relationships who have gone and found out that they have HIV or an STI or STD, and they've been in relationships for all this time. Now, who was tipping on who?
Yeah.
So that becomes a whole different issue. Charges, I don't know, jail time, things like that happen.
Yeah.
So, or, death.
Yes.
So it's all of those things that come into place. And anybody who felt uncomfortable with you posting your status needs to do some self-reflecting and understand that it's not a bad thing to talk about.
Right.
It's something that is very, very important. Like, we had that whole conversation about, me and Earl been together for 37 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got the AIDS.
That's right.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
He was out there getting it in 72. So you got to understand, like, you still have to get tested even if you have relationships.
Yeah, I agree with you. I worked with a program out of Northern Virginia, and I was a case manager for those living with HIV/AIDS. And excuse me, so I would go out to different clients' homes and have different conversations with them surrounding their illness and treatment and all the different resources that were available to them in the community. And I remember, I never forget, meeting a lady that was definitely in her almost 60s, and she had been married for over 30-some years, and her husband had passed away, and she found out once he became very sick and never left the hospital, that he actually had HIV/AIDS. And at that moment, she got tested, and then she found out that she, in fact, was positive as well. She had no clue. And, he passed away, and here it is, she's my client, and she's dealing with the reality that she was in a 30-plus year marriage, and he had been having whatever types of affairs or whatever promiscuity he was engaged in, and he brought home HIV to her. And then I had another gentleman, excuse me, I met him, he was in hospice. He was another one of my clients, and again, same thing, he was in a relationship that he thought it was a monogamous relationship, and he thought from the beginning that they both were negative. And yes, he was homosexual, but he thought they were negative, and just to find out later on that his partner had in fact been stepping out on him as well. And so that was kind of the community that I was in, and so it makes sense. And of course, now the job I have currently, they just came out to our office and they were offering HIV tests to our clients, our residents.
Right.
And so I was just like, oh, well, you know, I guess I could get a test, but I got an annual test coming up, or annual physical coming up, so I'll pass. But what really made me want to post it was that because a lot of people, they're very uncomfortable. But it's all around me. I don't have a choice but to find some type of comfort. And one of the ways I found comfort was having discussions about it. And I know I was extremely transparent when I was on Facebook about it, but why not? Because at the end of the day, we all should know our status, whether you're married, whether you're in a long-term relationship, bi, straight, white, black, it doesn't matter. You need to know your status, because if you are positive, there's a lot of treatment out here for you.
Right.
And it's not a death sentence. Instead, it's a ticket to live if you know ahead of time. And so I just felt that was very important. And just so, for the ones that's listening, I am HIV negative. And I did put that up there. All of my results, everything, all the numbers, everything, you know, hepatitis negative, all these things.
See, people don't realize that it's now part of the battery test now.
Okay, so yeah, let me share that. Let me share it with everyone. What was really interesting when I went to this test in particular, Lee, I had been in a 2.5 year relationship with a gentleman that it was a monogamous relationship. However, due to his risky behaviors in life, I could never really trust him. And so I knew my status prior to getting involved with him. And of course, we used protection for a very long time in the relationship. And then later on, just at random when we broke up, he hits me with, oh, I'm sick, I'm dying. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're sick, you're dying. Yeah, and so it freaked me out because I didn't understand what that meant. But that was a whole different story as to why he was saying he was sick and dying. But it really made me think about, what if this man gave me something and he knew? And so all these thoughts just flooded me. And so when I did get my annual exam, you know, some time after breaking up with him, I had my exam. I go in and my doctor never said, well, are you sexually promiscuous? Are you active? Do you have a spouse? Never asked that question, which is kind of out of the norm, because normally they will ask it, but this time she didn't. And instead she just gave me I said, well, I'm here for my annual physical, this is my age and this is what I think I should be getting tested for. So, hey, and I was steady working on the doctor's table. I was still working while they was doing all my blood work and everything. And then a couple days later, I received my email with this battery of blood tests.
Like a daggone engine diagnostics test.
Exactly. And so I scrolled and I'm like, what in the world did she order on me?
Basically, I mean, there's so much new stuff out there now that they got to test you for everything, from the rooter to the tutor, because of this.
Exactly. She ordered all these antiviral, everything. Not that I didn't go in sick. I didn't go and complain about anything. But I emailed her later when I saw all these tests. I had all these, everything was coming back negative and okay, right? Everything was coming back fine and negative and this and that. And I'm just like, what in the world? And so when I called her back, I thanked her. And I said, I realized you did this whole workup on me and you didn't even ask. And she said, we want to normalize HIV testing. We want to normalize hepatitis testing because of the rate of infections, and they want to be able to catch these illnesses ahead, just like getting your breast exam, because that was also part of my. So I shared it on Facebook about my breast exam and all those things as well.
Let you know the CDC to go talk to you or not.
I did. I shared all this, really because for two reasons. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, May. And I just felt that what better way to be healthy than to mentally be healthy, physically be healthy, just a holistic, healthy place that I wanted to be.
Even with the mental illness, some people, before you go to the doctor, you're already on pins and needles, so your anxiety is already, you could have a full-fledged panic attack.
Absolutely.
Because one thing, you don't have a test for that, so you sit there, wait a minute, do I have it? They waiting to tell me, it turns into something that you focus on and you obsess over. So yes, it makes sense to have all that stuff just straight, this have it right there,
Yeah.
so you know.
Yeah.
But I just these people in these so-called monogamous relationships, honey.
Yeah, you know what?
Who?
And the gentleman I'm speaking of, been in a monogamous relationship. Okay, fine. But I remember asking him when he said, "Oh, I'm sick. And I'm like, "Well, what's wrong?" And he gave me all these things, and I said, "Oh, this." I said, "Well, have you had an HIV test?" You know, because now, I mean, I had to go so drastic,
Right.
but you know, he just had me extremely paranoid. Again, I work in the environment, so
But
I'm like,
it's something to be paranoid about because you
absolutely.
don't know. And then people some people will have that last dig because you broke it with them or whatever
Yeah.
to try to get back at you.
Of course.
And so by saying, hey, I kept this from you, now look at you.
Let me tell
like,
you.
now we got to be together because we both know we don't because there's pills for that.
Yeah. You know, in truth, that just made me say, you know what? We need to start having these conversations more and more. And if you're uncomfortable, I want you to be uncomfortable. Because I'd rather you be uncomfortable and have a conscience to go get yourself together and get tested, or even be uncomfortable so I'll say, you know, I don't need to be around that, because I'm very open about my life when it comes to, you know, things like this. Health matters. And knowing your status matters.
But at the same time, it's something that we as we get older, we have to take care of ourselves, because sometimes we just totally forget, or we just put it out of our minds. Oh, I'm not sick, ain't nothing broken, so I don't have to go. Yes, you should go.
Yeah, you should go.
Like,
and I mean, from blood pressure to your medical, from blood pressure to HIV status, right? You should know something. You should know what's going on with your life, right?
But communication is key, though.
Communication is key. So why do you think people are so uncomfortable with talking about it?
Because they don't know how to talk. Nobody want to talk about the truth.
Yeah.
People in their feelings, they kind of tiptoe around it, and they want to placate with the easy lie than the uncomfortable truth.
Right.
So that's where the whole disconnect comes into play, because instead of communicating with your partner, I'm unhappy, and I'm seeing somebody over here that's doing that thing that I like to be doing.
Right.
They are lying. Oh, I'm just working overtime. No, you out there catching whatever that she got.
Yeah.
Or he got. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about. It starts with communication.
Yeah, communication, and even if it's uncomfortable.
Right.
Because, you know, I'm all about having uncomfortable communication.
Right.
I'm okay with that. So look, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a few seconds. So join us then with Bobby. Thank you.
Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time. Bar Talks.
Welcome back, everyone. We are now joined by Bobby. Bobby, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. And yourself?
I'm wonderful. I want you to meet. This is Chandra.
Hello,
Hi, Bobby.
Sandra. How you doing?
I'm good.
So, Bobby, as you know, we were discussing communication and surrounding knowing your HIV status and relationships. So I did definitely want to speak with you because obviously you're a male, and I wanted a male perspective on this issue. And I don't want to get personal and say, well, do you know your HIV status? But are you comfortable with discussing and knowing your HIV status? And the second part to that is, do you share it with your partner or your partners?
Plural.
I don't want to assume anything. So, do you share it with your partner or partners?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it? Are you uncomfortable, or what has been your experience with it?
No, I'm comfortable at the time. Right now, I've been single for some time. So, and I just recently had an HIV test because my situation, I was messing with some young lady, and I haven't had too many relationships.
Okay.
Due to my history. See, I heard you talking about incarceration. I've been incarcerated. So due to me being incarcerated, it kept me out of the dating game.
Right.
So once I came home, I started dating this young lady, and it didn't last very long. So, but I always use protection though.
Okay.
But just to get a test for me to make sure that I was straight, give me a different perspective, you know what I'm saying? So I recently went through that, like I just said, but as I also said, I always use protection because I got locked up at a very young age.
Okay.
So me having sex without protection, it wasn't that wasn't my style.
Right.
You know, so I was always protective. I'm very conscious when it comes to my life.
Yeah.
You know,
Amen.
and as I got older, and as I'm getting older, I become even more conscious.
Yeah.
There's things that penicillin cannot cure.
Yeah. Yeah. So can I ask you, since you were incarcerated, when you're incarcerated, you do get HIV tests then, right? Because you get a regular
Yes.
physical,
Yes.
and you're able to get your test there. And because I know a lot of gentlemen that come from prison, and that's when they know. Honestly, that's just been my experience because of the environment that I work in.
Right.
So let me say it that way. So I wanted to make sure that is
Yes.
actually the case.
Well, a lot of times when people get incarcerated, their body changes. They become more in tune with their body. So out here in the streets, people racing and running, especially in the street life.
Right.
Using drugs, getting drunk. They don't know if they're sick. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So when they actually get incarcerated, and then they find out they got high blood pressure or they got diabetes.
Yeah.
So I was around all that.
Yeah.
So I seen people with symptoms of having HIV, and me at a young age, I'm like, man, what's wrong with that person right there? And then somebody that might have been around them might say they're HIV positive. They have something called pill line where everybody go to the pill line for hepatitis, HIV.
Yes.
So I'm just looking around like that's crazy. I'm glad I was safe from that.
Yeah.
That's very important to me.
Right. Yeah, and it's it's interesting. Like when you know for sure, like all the times that I don't know how often anyone get tested, but for me it's always been it was always a couple years or it just I was married and all these other things. Although being married doesn't mean anything anymore.
Hell no.
Right? So, but we were a military family, so this just was just normal.
Right.
And then you get this space of time where that's not always the case anymore. So then I come back and I'm like, oh my God, you have no idea how good it feels to know my status. And again, even if I would have been positive, because I have the tools, I have access to the tools and the education, I know what I could have done. And a lot of people, especially in the African American community specifically, they don't always either have the information or they don't always listen to what's being given to them. I want to read just a quick stat real quick that I got from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Black African Americans account for a higher proportion of new HIV diagnoses and people living with HIV compared to other races. When you really think about that, that's scary.
Because they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
They would rather act like it doesn't exist, and so if they don't acknowledge it, that doesn't mean it's there. That means it's not there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, they could meet somebody people go straight to physical instead of talking and getting to know each other first. You know what I'm saying? And so by then y'all might as well just stay together because you're passing over everything.
Yeah. And that may sometimes actually be the thought behind it as well. Like some people, well, we already, we did this, so whatever you got, I got. Whatever I got, you got. And then you go with that.
Yeah,
and then you hate
going.
that. Then you don't like that person because you don't know that person. So take the time. Just communicate and talk about stuff like that. It is okay to take those, 90 days and get to know somebody before you open your legs or drop your draw or whatever. Whatever, however you get it. You know what I'm saying? Just take the time, get to know, and make it something that a milestone in your relationship when you go get tested together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And this is the biggest thing. I pride myself in making sure I have a clean bill of health.
Yeah.
Don't bring me no germs. Wash your hands before you touch me.
Yeah.
I'm such a, no. Because there's so many things out here that can end your life before you even get to live. That's not fair.
Yeah.
These people just stepping out on relationships and going and dipping and dabbling because they can't tell their partner, hey, I like to be choked every now and then.
Right.
You got somebody over that's choking the shit out you.
That's out there in the alley.
Right.
Yeah.
Choking, you know what I'm saying? And then give you something, you take it back because you can't tell your partner, look, I just choked me a little bit. You can't, that's the problem. You have to have these conversations. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got kind of carried away, but you get what I'm saying. It's but most people just can't even sit up there and say that. And so she's sitting there rolling her eyes in the dark. He rolling his eyes in the dark. Yeah. And so, but he know or she know that she could call or text somebody that'll do the thing that they like so much. But that person living foul and dirty out there in the street, doing things for $40 and stuff. Yeah. So you never know.
Or they on back pages? Or
they don't
whatever?
Do back pages down now. So they got to do it.
Is it?
So
okay.
if you ever see somebody on Facebook talking about $40 or cash at me this, hey, they selling more than pies and plates, okay?
I'm not familiar with all that.
They're selling STDs and STIs over through here.
I don't want to educate the masses on back pages, but don't let your spouse be on. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying, if you see a bunch of $40 missing from your account, do some research. Talk to them.
Is that how much it go for now? That's kind
Sometimes,
of
I don't
cheap.
know.
But
Hey.
okay. So one other thing I want to share is that another, again, I got this from Centers of Disease and Disease Control. I'm sorry. At some point in our lifetime as African Americans, an estimated 1 in 16 African American men and 1 in 32 African American women will be diagnosed with HIV, and that is just the ones that will get tested, or like I did,
That's
show
not
up and the
Atlanta.
doctor give you a battery of tests. But what about the ones that decide they don't want to get tested?
Is that
They're
in
scared
Atlanta?
to get.
Because like 1 to 3
It's
down there.
different. It's different in certain cities, certain locations. But what about like the ones that don't even get tested? This is why it's so important
Yes.
to talk to your partner, talk to your kids. Like I'm talking to my kid. The other day I was like, hey guys, just want you to know I had my HIV test, and they're looking at me like, why is
Mom.
she saying that? I said, I need to normalize. Like the doctor said to me, we want to normalize these tests. I need to normalize the conversation in my house. And my son and my daughter, they're 18 and 21, and they were both like, "Oh, that's good to know." But I want them to start feeling that this is just as normal as going to get your cholesterol test when you're 40.
Right.
You understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about that? Knowing that this is the ones that are diagnosed, what about the ones that doesn't even get the test?
I mean, one of the problems is that a lot of times we be even scared to take needles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't trust a lot of people. We only trust ourselves. So some people have phobia going to the doctors, getting shots, taking the shots. You know what I mean?
Right.
Getting checked out because, like you said, if they have it, they don't want to know because they don't think anything can be done about it.
Right.
So they like, man, if I got herpes or if I got HIV, man, I'm just going to, keep living my life.
Wow.
But
I'm
it
built.
would infect
I'm
other
built
people.
different. Than
Yeah.
that, I'm built different than that because I can see myself passing on anything, even information that can harm somebody. So me trying to pass on a disease that can listen.
That's gonna get you messed in the back of the head with a brick.
I'd be like that's like killing somebody.
It is.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And it is a criminal offense.
right, yes, a criminal
Yeah.
offense. But to me, it's definitely an
going to
offense.
jail.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I already
I'm
know
not
it.
built that in that type of
Yeah.
lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like to give people good advice. I like to be a positive vibe to people. I don't want to bring no type of negativity, especially no daggone disease.
Right. Right.
I was raised by my grandmother and my mother. I'm very, very dear to my mother. So for me to do that and then have to look her in the eyes,
Yeah.
it'll break her heart to be like, you gave this girl what or you did what? Or even if she hear anything, and she followed me on social media. So
Okay.
everything I do on social media is positive. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So, business or something silly. But I don't want no negative stuff around me. I don't want to be around people that even live like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trifling.
Well, I want
Get
to.
trifling, yeah.
Well, guys, we have to wrap it up. I definitely
And
wanna
they should be wrapping it up.
wrap it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No pun
Perfect
intended,
word.
but pun intended. No. I just want to say thank you. Thank you guys for coming out and having this discussion with me. Again, it means a lot to me, and I hope that those that are listening, they decide that it is important for them to know their status, their partner status, and as Chandra has said, to communicate these things, your wants, your needs within your relationship when it comes to sex and any type of intimacy, even outside of the relationship. And knowing that whether you're married or not, you're not safe, excuse me, you're not safe from, contracting a disease such as HIV or anything else that is sexually communicated. I want to also just share quick information because I'm in Virginia. That's where Bar Talks is housed. And so if you want to get tested, of course you can go to your doctor or go to the local health department, or you can just call the hotline to find out where you can have testing done at 1-800-533-4148, 1-800-533-4148. I encourage those that are curious or want to know their status, and you want to know, of course, in privacy, then utilize that number and find a local department or health department that you can go and get your test done. And that's it. I just want to say to everyone that's tuning in, thank you for tuning in. You can always find me on Facebook at Bar Talks, BARTALKS. You can also find me on IG at BarTalks_QLUV. Chandra, you want to tell them where they can find you at?
You can find me at C Gore Consults. It's CGORECONSULTS or SCM Productions 1.
Bobby, what about yourself? You got something to
You
share?
can find me on IG at Bobby5211 or Facebook at Bobby Pettis.
Perfect. And until next time, peace, love, and light.
Yeah. Bar talks. Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time, this time. Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time, this time. Talk to me now. Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time, this time. Tell me what's on your mind, baby. This time, this time.